It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk. I am one of your hosts, JD.
And I am Steve, and, it seems like we were just talking to you guys, a few days ago. Oh, we were.
The week went by pretty fast, I think, though, right?
It really did.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to head up to Petoskey, which is in Michigan's northern area, right on the water. Petoskey State Park. Great time. Beautiful parks. First time I'd ever been there. So I had a great time there with some friends. And while I was there, as a teacher, it's always cool. I always find it fun to run into my students. And actually, one of my students was serving ice cream at the Kilwins in Harbor Springs, which is just up the road from Petoskey. And I walked in. We're looking at ice cream like, oh, I'm getting a salty caramel swirl thing. It was so good. But I look up, and there's Jacob. And that's my student. And I think that how cool is that to run into you're 5 hours away from where we live, and you run into a student, right? It's things like that that remind me that how small the world is.
Yeah, it is.
Right? But yeah, so that was my last few days. I mean, we just got back. I parked the motorhome in the driveway not 20 minutes ago, so here we are, ready to go and give you a good show.
And you had a much better time than I did. I mean, the only thing I can really update on is my 8-hour delay in Charlotte, trying to fly home on Friday. So, that's about it.
And for those of you, we've talked about it a little bit. My brother flies a lot for work, right?
Yeah.
And in doing so, he's accumulated a lot of miles, and his status level is, platinum, right?
No. You can't. I can't let you get away with that because that's not.
That's just how I'm going to do it. That's how I'm saying it. I'm not going to give you much more than that.
It's executive platinum.
See, and this is how he treats the people who are executive platinum, by the way. But yeah, so he got stuck in Charlotte, and when we were traveling, him and I took a trip. We were down in Virginia a few months ago, and he talked about how Charlotte has his favorite executive platinum lounge or whatever for status members. And,
it's not just for status members. It's for anyway. But yeah,
whatever.
He
gets the good stuff because of he's got almost 500,000 miles left. I think.
I did purchase my. No, it's actually 600,000. I think, but.
There you go. See, executive platinum status right there. Gotta correct me.
I did purchase my lounge membership with miles. So
okay,
it is something you got to pay for, either cash or with miles. So
yeah, but so he did correct me, and I'm going to let him tell you now why it's not his favorite. It's now his second favorite in Charlotte.
Oh, it's not a huge deal. It's just that
it's not.
It's been a little while since I've been to an airport there in Washington D.C. Downtown Washington D.C. They got two airports. And the one that's directly downtown is the initials is DCA, and they just redid a lounge in American. And American's doing all of their lounges kind of the same way, so it was just nice to kind of see what they're going to be looking like, and it is actually really nice. So that's all. Just a redone lounge. Nice place to sit in if you got an 8-hour delay.
Yeah, so if you don't know what DCA is, that's just the airline initials. But it's Ronald Reagan National Airport. I think it's at least still called Ronald Reagan National Airport. But it's right on the Potomac.
Yeah.
When I was stationed in Washington. Yeah, it is. So when I was stationed in Washington, D.C., my base was almost directly across from the airport. so I could
Yeah.
sit in the parking garage and actually see the planes come in all day.
When you're flying in, you get to see all the monuments, all the big ones, anyways, right? You get to see like the Capitol, the Washington Monument, stuff
Washington
like that.
Monument.
If you're coming in,
Yeah.
it's actually just a really cool thing. And even from DCA, if you look out the window, you can actually see the Washington Monument from the actually in the airport. So, anyways, I know it's probably boring, but but it's a cool experience though.
Yeah, it is, and I love being in Washington D.C. It was a great tour. So much to do there. All the museums, the monuments, and
Yeah.
all of that, was free. Now I don't know if you can get up in the Washington Monument for free. I think you got to pay to get up and go all the way up to the top. But for all the years that I've been there, it was always under construction. We never even got to go up. So
Yeah, Washington D.C. is a great city to just kind of go and check out all that, like you were saying, the museums and whatnot. But the only thing I don't like about it, of course, is the traffic. That's the worst thing about it. But everything else about it's really cool. And it does
Absolutely.
pay to learn to use the what do they call the little tram thing in Washington?
the Metro,
The Metro.
yeah, the Metro, yep. So, well, all right. So today's show, we're gonna focus on some NFL football. We have
Been a little while.
It has been. And training camps are happening real soon. So just kind of quickly, I guess, if you're good, we'll just get started and run right into it, huh?
Let's just do it.
Well, let me do this first. The one thing
Okay.
we don't talk about tennis very often. Well, Wimbledon was played today for the men's Wimbledon, and Carlos Alcaraz beat Novak Djokovic. I hope I pronounced those right. But
Good enough, 'cause I
Djokovic
don't
was
know
actually,
either.
I think they were both the world number 1 and world number 2 players, and they got to play, or I don't know if they're world number 1, but they were number 1 ranked seeded players at Wimbledon, the number 1 and 2, and the 20-year-old Carlos Alcaraz won and beat the 23-time Grand Slam champ. So, good for him.
And from what I read, it was in like 5 sets, and it was an incredible back and forth match overall. So, not that I
Correct.
know a lot about tennis, just that it just sounds like if you do enjoy tennis, that would have been an awesome
Yep.
match to watch.
Yeah, so it was 1-6, 7. Actually, it was 8-6 because they have to win by 2. So it went we'll call it extra innings for tennis. 6-1, 3-6, 6-4. So it was definitely one of those matches where it was pretty cool. And obviously, this isn't about football either. But Steph Curry, if anyone didn't see the video, he had a hole in one at a celebrity golf tournament, and he just took off running down the green, down the fairway. I'm sorry. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like, he hit this shot, he watched it, rolled, dropping the cup, and he threw his club in the air and started sprinting down the fairway. It was the coolest thing ever. I mean, for someone who's not a pro, right? Any kind of amateur golfer, anybody that just go out there and hit the ball, a hole-in-one's a big deal. Right? So that was pretty cool to watch. Now for some football. I apologize, everybody. But now for some football. So
All right.
This is breaking news. This just happened within sometime today. DeAndre Hopkins is to sign with the Titans on a 2-year, $26 million deal, which could be worth up to $32 million. So he has been trying to figure out where he wants to go, right? Once he got released because he was a free agent. And so he has now a new team. I think he was waiting to see what the Chiefs would do. But based on the money that he wanted, he was going to have to go to a team that had cap room. So he's with the Titans, and obviously they've got a young core there, right? So we'll see what they can do now. Also, Bengals running back Joe Mixon has restructured his contract so he can stay in Cincinnati. He was entering the 3rd year of his 4-year deal. and he was due $9.4 million base this season, but he restructured it. Running backs just aren't getting what, like, the running back market has always been getting, it's been getting less and less because most teams are doing running back by committee anymore, right? So then nobody wants to pay a running back, you know, big dollars because, one, they take a beating, right? So you never know what's going to happen. And he, instead of going into free agency or signing his franchise tag or whatever it was, he restructured his deal. Because right now, Dalvin Cook, who used to be with the Minnesota Vikings, is still looking for a team, right? He's only 27 years old. And he was when healthy, he's a super effective running back, both catching the ball and out of the backfield. And his brother plays in Buffalo. So there's that, right? And who else was it? I wanted to say something else. Bengals, here we go. Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs have reportedly talked about holding out to get a new contract. It's, for what I've heard for Saquon Barkley, it's all about the guaranteed money, right? He could make more money on the franchise tag for the next 2 years than the guaranteed money that the contract that the Giants are currently offering him. So if he decides to play like Kirk Cousins did, right, with Washington, he played on the franchise tag for 2 straight years, and then they still let him go, right? He ended up going to Minnesota on a 4-year, fully guaranteed contract. Now, that's obviously not what's going on here, but, you know, Saquon Barkley wants a contract that's going to give him that much guaranteed money based on, and I think it's like $23 million is what it would be over the next 2 years if he stays on the franchise tag. So, but like I said, we just talked about, or I just said, running backs are just undervalued, and they're undervalued because of the position and the beating that they take. I think there's a bit of a resurgence in the running back market because now running backs are becoming more effective pass catchers, right? So you have an opportunity for them to still get and touch the ball 20 times, but maybe only rush it 10 times, 12 times, and catch 8 balls, right? Something I think we're going to see Jahmyr Gibbs do a lot of. Kind of throw a little bit of a Lions thing in there right now.
Well, I mean, you're not right there. But I think and when I look at a building a football team, where would you rather put the money at? Because there's a lot of effective runners in college. You know, when I think about it. I mean, you think about how many college teams there are and how many NFL teams, only 32 NFL teams. So, correct. I mean, running backs are honestly just kind of plentiful. Like, you know, wide receivers, 4 or 5 wide receivers per team. I know a lot of, you know, teams carry 3 running backs, but that's not, you know, you generally don't have 3 running backs that's all really good, right? It's anyways, right. My point is, what I was trying to get to anyways, is that you're going to invest in offensive line. The offensive line, you need a good offensive line for both running and passing. And then, if you have a good offensive line, pretty much you can give the ball to anybody and get 3 or 4 yards at a time. So that's where the money has kind of went. And when you're on a salary cap, you can only pay so much. You only have so much money to go around. You invest in the offensive line, and one of the positions that kind of takes a back seat is running back because of the number that's out there, and that anybody can get 3 or 4 yards behind a good line, you know, that kind of thing. So,
absolutely. So, I mean, take for instance, you're looking at Isaiah Pacheco at Kansas City. He played at Rutgers, was a late round draft pick, and was a superstar with the Chiefs offense, right? Mm-hmm. At some point, he's going to get a nice contract, but it's not going to be record-breaking money, right?
No.
And he helped the team win a Super Bowl, right? Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley haven't done that.
And speaking of Josh Jacobs, the guy's not that great of a pass catcher out of the backfield. You know, you have to
He's
have
not.
that.
He is a thumper.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to have that type of two-dimensional game in order to really
Yeah.
make much of a difference. So, and he just doesn't have it. So,
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from the fact that he was the leading rusher last year. I don't, because that's obviously it's a big deal, right? But you know, you hear that age 27, right? That's one contract out of college, right? Ish. Right? Or when you talk about ages, and it's crazy, you know, when they're at 25, 26 years old, they're finishing their first contract, their rookie deal or a restructured contract that they got after the first couple, whatever, right? But it's not, the money's just not going to be there for these guys. And I mean, someone who's still looking for a job, who played with Dallas, was Zeke Elliott. He still has not signed with anybody. Right? And we know what kind of player he used to be. Right?
right.
But again,
Yeah.
I think some injuries and some other things just didn't play his way. So, but there's that as far as the running backs. Evan Ingram got a new contract with the Jaguars. So instead of playing on the franchise tag, he got a new 3-year contract with $24 million guaranteed. It's a $41.25 million deal. So, nice. The Jaguars got that. So they, and did I say this? Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs were talking about sitting out training camp. I said that, right?
Yes. Yep.
All right. I'm trying to go through my. The Jets and Aaron Rodgers are going to be on Hard Knocks. So for those of you that watch Hard Knocks, you get to see Aaron Rodgers be a big crybaby out on the field. That's kind of how I feel about him anymore. He kind of became a big crybaby.
Yep.
But hey, you know, that's my own personal thing. And that's kind of my wrap around the league over the last few days. But so let's talk some Lions stuff, brother.
I think that's important. Yes. Let's do some Lions.
Yeah. We have. I sent my brother a message earlier this week. It was talking about some rumors or things that maybe the Lions could do to help themselves, right?
Right.
And it talked about who the Lions should add to their roster. And the first one was Yannick Ngakoue. I think we've talked about him before as a possible target. He's going to give you your, 9 sacks, right? I think that's what he's had, almost averaging over the last several years. And he's been doing it with different teams, right? So while he might not be a long-term permanent solution to the position of need, he would come in and be able to give you some pass rush up the middle, right?
Sorry.
So, no, that's okay. It's family stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so they talked about Yannick. I think that would be a good move. You get somebody who's been around the league a little bit and, knows how to be a professional, comes in, plays the game, gives you your sacks, and you put him in, there with a couple of young defensive ends. I mean, and you put him in on a rotation like that. Our front four could be crazy.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. However, one thing that I'm a little concerned of, like if you do add Ngakoue, is who's he taking snaps from? And I don't know if I want that to happen. That's all, right? Because
Sure.
I mean, James Houston, he came out and just was crazy. And if we remember, it was the Lions' offensive line that talked to the coaching staff about, hey man, we got to get this guy in there. Like he's got to play. And up until they did that, up until they actually, talked to the coaches, he wasn't getting playing time. And then look what he did when he did. Look what happened when he did. And that's why I don't really want to take snaps away from him, because he got it was 8.5 sacks in like 6 games or something. I forgot what it was. But
right when he finally started getting some playing time and some actual good number of snaps out on the field,
right.
like he really took advantage of his opportunity.
And that's why I'm just a little concerned, we can say, about the possibility of signing, and not that this guy, not that he isn't good, Ngakoue, or anything like that, but just that how much better would he be than Houston when Houston had one less sack than he did last year and a lot less games. So
yeah,
if we're talking about someone a little bit different, like maybe like someone that's better, I suppose, then
right.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. But someone that's just, I kind of look at him as kind of a similar player, and whereas you can never have enough pass rushers, I just don't know if I want to take snaps away from him right now. That's all. That's my bottom line. I mean, I wouldn't hate it if we did sign him.
Right. Well,
but I want to give the young guy a chance.
Yeah, if I'm looking at this, I mean, he's 28 years old, so it's not like he's not young, but he's not over 30 either, right? And if he's still a productive guy with some locker room experience, I guess is the best way I want to put it, right? He could really help those young guys develop, right? But I always like to have a veteran presence when you can. Maybe not him maybe he's not the right veteran presence, right? I don't know.
Right. I mean, did you see? I'm kind of changing the thing a little bit because I just remembered it. We're talking about like defensive linemen. Did you see the? Now this is probably not going to happen. It was kind of like a what if scenario. So this is way out there. But someone actually wrote about it though, about the possibility of the Lions trading to get someone like Aaron Donald. Now. and
okay.
And it was also I think the same person also wrote about Cooper Kupp as well. But anyways, I know both those.
Yeah.
Both those guys were being talked about as far as potential trade targets for the Lions. Getting cap off of the Rams, allowing them kind of rebuild a little bit. Getting some draft capital back for those guys, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know they were trying to trade Stafford as well, but that just to me sounds insane. Like Aaron Donald, right?
Well, yeah. What if you could pull a real coup and get both Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald? Like,
we would have the absolute best GM of all time. Somehow, like to the point
what would you have to give up?
Like,
what would you give up?
My shirt.
Yeah, right. His face would be our new logo.
Yeah. Be this guy.
Yeah.
What would I give up? How many years does Aaron Donald have left under contract? I guess that would be part of it. Because if it's I don't think he's a rental or nothing. I think it's more than 1 year. But
I think we could get him for a couple of years. But he's already talked. I think there's talk he was going to retire after this last season. Right. So I wouldn't want to give up a whole lot for a guy who's already talking retirement. Right.
So he signed a 4-year contract. Oh, maybe this is his last year. No, 6-year contract. He was a free agent in 2025, so we'd have him for 2 years.
So we would get the rest of it, the balance of his 2-year contract.
Yes.
But any picks that we gave up, obviously I'd see it being picks. I mean, unless they decided to send James Houston over in a late round pick. Which I don't know how I feel about that either. But it's Aaron Donald, and we know Aaron Donald is a destructive force on the defensive line, right? Yeah. So to me, they'd have to all be conditional picks, like, and I only say that because if he retires after the first year, right? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to give a higher pick than like a 4th rounder if he retires. You know, maybe if he stays that second year, it's like a 3rd rounder, you know, or possibly a 2nd rounder. But I don't even know that I want to go that high. But to me, it's a 3rd or 4th round. It'd be a 4th round pick, conditional 3rd, if he plays for both years.
I do that. I know that. I would do that because
right. But the pick wouldn't be until 2025, so it'd be the 2025 draft, right? That way, you know that he played those years. It wouldn't be the next year's draft in 2024.
I'd tell you what, honestly, this is just, again, my opinion. If you're talking about a 2025 pick, I would even go as high as a 2nd rounder for a 2025 pick.
Okay.
There's still chances we can recover that 2nd round pick in a few years, right? Doing different things. But I would even go as high as a 2nd. Just because, one, it's a couple years in the future, and 2, just because it's Aaron Donald, and
right,
and that could be the missing piece to our defense.
Geez, you put him, and oh yeah, with just the pieces that we already have in place.
Yep.
Good Lord.
So that's why I would do it. 'Cause I think that would I think our defense would take 2 steps. Right.
Right.
So, but that would be what I would do, and I think we'd have a good chance at, even a better chance at winning the NFC Central, and then giving Philadelphia a run for their money.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I said, the chance of this happening, honestly, everybody out there listening, right? I mean, we're talking like wildest dream scenario at this point. So, it likely isn't going to happen, and same thing with Cooper Kupp. And with Cooper Kupp, as great as he is, I'd even have, I'd want Donald before Kupp. But,
okay,
I mean, if the price is right, I'd take Kupp. If the price is right, otherwise,
sure,
just give me Donald.
Yeah. So Cooper Kupp's contract, he has an opt out after the 2024 season. So he's got a potential out there, so it's a 3-year. But it looks like that was 1, 2. I don't know. Yeah, his cap hit is and his base salary go way up. Technically, he's not an unrestricted free agent until 2027. But
with an opt out,
they have a potential out after the 3rd year of the contract. Yeah.
And
so that wouldn't be bad, I guess, if it was not. But he's also 30, and he's coming off some injuries. Right.
This is a crazy scenario, right? I mean, any of those guys is a crazy scenario. Yeah. Like, I don't really think that would happen.
So I'm definitely with you. If you're going to get a guy to change your franchise, an Aaron Donald guy is going to be changing he'll change your franchise.
Yeah,
he'll change that defensive front right now.
Even if it's just for 2 years, like that guy is worth it. You know, especially when we got the team that we currently have.
Yep.
But one of the things, though, too, that I sent you just recently was about Jameson Williams. Now, the reason why I'm a little more negative on Cooper Kupp than a lot of other people I think would be is because I'm not down on Jameson Williams. I know, like, he's got a lot of bad press, right? The tweet about, the quarterback and then getting suspended, and I just don't really even believe that's his fault. That's, again, my opinion on the whole thing.
Sure.
And then he had a video of fireworks, and again, I didn't think that was as big of a deal as a lot of people did. Is there a chance of something happening and him blowing off a finger? Yes. But he's also driving a car, and there's a chance of him getting into an accident. Like, I mean, you can't. I don't don't care that he was playing with fireworks. But so he's gotten a lot of bad press, and something I really, really wanted to bring up is what he's doing recently. So specifically, he's been grabbing some attention because he's been doing some workouts with Amon-Ra First Down. That's his, the guy is nothing but First Down. So Amon-Ra First Down, right? He's been working out with him in California, and there's been people watching because they're working out at a high school, and so the guy is putting in the work, even though he's not going to be ready for the start of the season because of suspension. So, but the fact that he's been working on his craft, and it's not just now. Like, this is not just something that, I better go work on it now because I need good press. No, he's been doing this the entire off season. All right. So not only is he working on his craft, trying to get better because he's going to be, again, gone for 6 games. But I want to point this out, and I think this is awesome that he was doing. So on Saturday, which for us is yesterday, so it'd be like on the 15th, Williams, he hosted a free youth camp at Detroit East English High School. So the camp was being offered to third graders, all the way up to the 12th grade. And they were focusing on the skill positions, specifically. So, not like offensive linemen or whatever, right? But like skill positions was what this camp was focusing on. And, he did 2.5 hours. He did 2 different sessions, 2.5 hours each. And it was for, younger, because they separate them by age, right? So anyways, just the fact that he ran a free camp at Detroit, like, this guy's been getting a lot of bad press. I mean, you gotta give him credit when credit's due, right?
Yep.
He's
That's great.
And doing something nice for the community.
That is great for the community. It really is.
Yeah.
Right? So I that's awesome that he did that. And I bet there was many kids down there, working out, right? So I appreciate that he's doing that. I think a lot of what we see is still, he's young, immature, and he's learning how to be a pro. So he's had he has the opportunity to have an amazing mentor in Megatron.
Yes.
Because Megatron has reached out to him to hey, I want to, help guide you. And I think it's awesome that Megatron is even trying to get back into the with the Lions, right? Because it wasn't really a great, it was more of a divorce than it was anything else, right? So I like to see that, there's some mending of fences right there, and they're trying to get back, and they're trying to get him back into the fold. So I think that's great, and I hope that Jameson takes him up on that and uses that, because we all know Megatron was an amazing pro, right? He was about the game, the work to put into the game, and young players need those types of mentors.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's that's what he was doing. It's really good. There was some other rumor about the Lions and who they should go out and get that I did not agree with. Right, I was okay with the Ngakoue thing, but they talked about going out and trading for Malik Willis. This would be a second-year quarterback, coming up from the Titans, and we just drafted Hendon Hooker, who we're pretty high on Hendon Hooker and what the possibility looks like for him in a couple of years, right? I know we're not going to see a lot of him this year because he's still going to be healing up, and if the Lions, I feel like the Lions know that they need to bring him along slow because they don't want to bring him back too soon, right? Just like they did with Jameson last year, right? He probably could have come back a couple of games sooner. They held him out a couple of more games. then they had a snap count on him, so he didn't, just minimal contact just to get him back into some football shape. I don't think that we'll see Hendon Hooker at all this year.
No, probably not.
And I hope that we don't have to, right? Like there's not a point where they're going to have to force him into the mix, right? Through injuries. Mm-hmm. I would prefer that they could just leave him out and then they'll bring in another guy and keep him that third quarterback. But Malik Willis has an interesting skill set, right? And he kind of got thrown to the wolves a little bit, I think, in Tennessee on a team that was not as good as they were 2 years ago, right?
Right.
And had he got drafted and he played on that team, 2 years ago, and he had that team, he could probably had a better year. But he didn't, right? And the fans wanted him out there. I think the team pushed him out there too, and they didn't even draft him high because he got drafted in the second round. I think he wasn't a first round quarterback. Malik Willis. Malik Willis.
Yeah.
He wasn't first round.
I don't think
I
so.
think he was a second round, but he could have been a third rounder.
Third round. Yep, third round.
Third round, right? So I'm telling you, they got him for a steal. So why would you not want to keep that player and try and develop him, right? You just signed a big name receiver, right? I think they have they got pieces they've got King Henry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have the ability to slow a game down and run a game. So when I saw that about the Lions trading for Malik Willis, I was like, did you already give up on Hendon Hooker? Did you already forget that we drafted this guy? And, and I think we took Hooker in the second round, right?
No.
Did
we? Man, why does that seem
I know.
so long ago?
It does, right?
Because I thought he was third round too. Yeah, round 3.
Round 3, okay. So I wouldn't want to go and get a guy who's already played a year in the NFL and didn't have a good season when I have a guy that I just brought in that we've talked about could be the future of the Lions, right? I think Hendon Hooker he could be special. He's got a cannon. He can move in the pocket, and he can run if he has to, but he's not a run-first guy. And I think Malik Willis is more of a run-first guy, right? He's not his eyes aren't down the field. Hendon Hooker's eyes are down the field. When he's rolling out and he's moving in the pocket, he's looking down. He wants to dump the ball off so he's not taking a hit.
Yeah, I'm not set on our backup quarterback situation. So I wouldn't mind signing a free agent or possibly trading for someone to be a backup, but not Malik Willis. Malik Willis is not when I think of a backup, that's not who I think about. I think of like a veteran, like Teddy Bridgewater or something, like someone like that, that can get you a few wins. Not another project, which Willis is.
Right. To me, I'm thinking like a Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the kind of quarterback I'd like to bring in. Or if we could work with San Francisco and bring in Brock Purdy, I'd bring in Brock Purdy.
I don't think he's going anywhere, but
I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I mean, he's not Mr. Irrelevant anymore. Just saying.
No.
But again, because we don't even know. Well, when it comes to Brock Purdy, we don't even know how that arm's healing. So, and how that elbow's taken. So, but anyway, to me, a Jimmy Garoppolo would be a guy, and I know he's already on a new team. Oakland, right? Not Oakland, Las Vegas. I mean, so he's with the Raiders. But to me, that's the backup. I don't know.
Well, I mean, someone like fits that mold. Someone that can, a veteran that can come in and get you a win if necessary.
Somebody who can come in and win a game. Exactly.
So, but yeah, Malik Willis is just our project, and
He is.
I don't want to take anything away from Hendon Hooker. I'm a bigger believer in Hooker than what I am in Willis. So,
You and me both. I think that's where we need to. I know we didn't draft him high, but third-round players in the NFL typically get playing time within a few years, and they're starters.
well, he also fell, and I think the injury has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely.
So,
He didn't play in the last 3 games of the season, 4 games of his season because of the injury.
and he was having a great season before that.
Yeah, like Heisman, like talk.
Yeah,
So, I mean, he beat Alabama.
and had a great game while doing it.
Yeah, like he made Alabama's defense look ridiculous. I think 500 yards, I think, is what he put up against them. It was something ridiculous because he was throwing bomb after bomb in that game.
Yeah,
So-
it was incredible. Like
Yeah,
how like the yards and touchdowns, and
Correct.
and doing it both ways too.
Yeah.
legs and with the pass. Yeah,
oh.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that's kind of where I think the Lions are. We got training camp starts for the Lions. I had it written down. Sorry, everybody. I did have it. Training camp. That's ticket sales start July 19th for training camp. Looks like July 29th. So, I mean, we're 2 weeks away from training camp kicking off for the Lions.
So I know we're kind of wrapping up the show here, but quick question before we do.
Yeah.
Give me your biggest want. Give me your either a position that you want upgraded, a specific player you have in mind, either through a trade or free agency, something like that. Like what would you like to see addressed, or with whom?
I think I'd still like to see a younger veteran defensive tackle. Someone who can complement our edge rushers that we already have, and can get a push, not only but get a push for pass rush purposes, but also stop the run. And then maybe a speedy kind of outside linebacker / safety guy, like that body type. Right?
Okay.
I'm not saying they need that, but we all know we can see what happens when you get one in Dallas.
Well, that guy's special, though. I mean,
He is absolutely
that's not
special.
normal. That's not normal.
No. But you get a guy that's 2/3 that, and I think you got a really good player, right?
No, that's true. That's true.
So, I can't say you want that. Obviously, that's the player we want. And then we talked about it. Even though he's not young, if you could get Aaron Donald, go get him. Go get him.
All right. I can't really argue with Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's probably not realistic. And I don't know. For me, even just like a defensive veteran, rotational, like someone that might be on the last leg, just come in, play 30, 40%, maybe not 40%, but just play some snaps, get you some rotational depth, and that kind of thing is what I'd be looking for at this point.
So somebody who could come in even if for injury, who could play an extended extended number of snaps if needed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you can see we're trying to build off our defense, because that
Yes.
was kind of our weak spot last year, and I know we've done a lot for the Lions. Have done a lot this year, moving into this season, But, get younger at the offensive line too,
So,
which they kind of done.
yeah.
But I forgot the tackle that we got. We got Broderick Martin.
Yeah.
He could be a guy. Like, he's kind of a beast. Like, did you see his legs? Like,
Yeah.
from the waist down, he's a freaking tree trunk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could be the guy we were just talking about, and we already have him on the team.
We just got to see him because we don't know yet, right? So.
Right. So, we're going to get to see him, come into middle August. And we're going to see some snaps and see what we got with these guys.
So with that, kind of wrapping up the show, wanted to kind of give a like future shows, kind of give a quick little watch out for this kind of thing. We just talked about it. Want to do like a fantasy football show at some point. Kind of give our thoughts on fantasy football and maybe even reveal some teams and drafting strategies. And
my brother and I have played many, many years. I played more years than he has, but I've been playing for many, many years.
Yes.
So.
And then just as we're just a reminder, we do football, but we do lots of other sports as well. So we just did a last show was all about the MLB draft and what we thought about it with the Tigers and I know we're kind of new to YouTube, but we have a ton of shows on some podcasting sites. So if interested, go check those out, as well as our social media.
Yep. All right. We appreciate it, everybody.
We do. And we'll, if we don't have a midweek show, we'll see you next Sunday.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.